So we are now using AI to predict human behavior with uncanny accuracy. And is this not a little scary?
It is. And just think about these new Surface laptops that are tracking your every movement. That's going to be potentially used to train this, anonymize the data, right? So and become even more accurate. But so yeah, they've developed the model that they've developed aims to capture suboptimal human decision making by inferring our inference budgets. Time spent deliberating. So it assumes rationality is bounded by constraints. So the way it works is by aligning observed behaviors with the outputs of an optimal problem-solving algorithm at various deliberation depths, which reveals how much planning a person did. The research itself, based on the insight that planning time correlates with problem difficulty and agent competence. So more thinking indicates tougher problems or smarter agents. I don't know if I agree with that, but they came up with something very accurate. By predicting planning depth on new tasks from past data, the model can forecast how a person will behave in a given situation. The tests that they ran show promising accuracy at predicting goals from navigation routes and chess moves from past games by modeling limited reasoning. So if, again, this isn't validated yet, but if it's validated further, the technique could allow some AI assistants to understand and adapt to our quirks, becoming more collaborative. So it may aid human AI teaming by alerting systems when we're likely to make mistakes so they can guide us more effectively. Precogs, anyone? So challenges obviously remain validating the model across more domains and ensuring inferences are interpretable. Again, research is very, very, very preliminary. So the core assumption of the model itself is that limitations on rationality stem primarily from constraints rather than inherent logic, which is interesting. It views suboptimal behavior as rooted in our finite capacity for deliberation. So what they plan to do is apply the approach to other areas like reinforcement learning, where trial and error experience over time influences an agent's planning process and policy. So by accepting our lapses from optimal reasoning, this AI has potential to enable much smoother human machine collaboration, but also a lot more scary things.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and, I saw up there, it says it helps if it has a base model, a human model, because of our inefficiencies. It helps have a good model of human behavior to start with, but the humans tend to behave suboptimally when making decisions. I would imagine, like, we're not robots. We can go, oh, am I going to make coffee? Am I going to put on my style?
We make mistakes.
Yeah. And secondly, like, we, in general, most of us, do the 80 to 90%, if not more, of the same stuff every day. So you talk about, I can navigate where you're going. Oh, geez, Google Maps without AI can, predict where I'm going 60, 70, 80% of the time, because it pops up, hey, it's 8 a.m. I think you want to go here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing is, I think Waze automatically take into account your previous trips, your speed, and all that sort of stuff. So that, like, if we were at the same place and we were in the same destination, my time would be different than your time.
Of course.
Which is interesting.
Well, I often sit around and I do this with, if you open up the weather app on an Apple phone, someone sitting beside you, get them to do it. Oftentimes you'll get different temperatures, what it is right now. Like, I do this with my roommate all the time. It's like, okay, it's telling me we're in the exact same location, using the exact same phone, exact same app, and you're telling me it's a degree or two different than what it's telling me. So whatever. It might be pulling from a different weather station for some reason, might be doing whatever. It's just like, so it's that kind of stuff doesn't like give me a different route versus you. Like, when you leave the house, you're going to Toronto, or you're going to a coffee shop, or you're going to, the bar that you normally go to, or the gym that you normally go to. Like there's only a handful of places that people normally go to on a regular day. And then once or twice a week, they go to someplace new, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
we are
Yeah.
creatures of habit.
But
So
like, and the other thing too is, what's that?
wouldn't take long to map us out. We're creatures of a habit. Like this doesn't seem predicting human behavior doesn't seem to be all that hard. Like you're not talking about how a human will respond in a difficult emotional situation. You're talking about where you're going today.
Yeah. It's an interesting point. So it's going to see how much better they can get, and by better I mean, what does that mean? What does better mean? Like, is it going to be like, okay, based on previous behavior, you're wasting an hour of time doing this, and this, so you might want to do this kind of thing? I don't know.
So we'll have to see. I'm curious about this significantly. So how does a model account for differences in individual personalities and thinking styles? Like what I do is completely different than what you do. And it's completely different than, say, what my business partner does, like on a daily routine. He works from home. Most of the time I work from home, but I have events. I also usually work from the coffee shop all day. There's other people drive to work, other people do different things, and not only that, but different quirky habits. So, some people go to the gym, some people do this, and personality wise, how does it account for that?
So I think it seems to operate at the level of an individual person. So I think it's more about training data. So they have it at a base level, and then it's like, okay, so take in this training data of this person and start looking at specific things. And so it models their specific behavioral patterns rather than generalizing across people. So the model customizes to an individual by analyzing traces of the past behavior to infer their typical inference budget. So I guess it does appear to tune itself to capture an individual's unique decision-making style rather than making broad assumptions. But that being said, the modeling may be more granular for some facets, like typical deliberation time, and less sensitive to more nuanced personality factors. But the researchers did note that it could be improved by incorporating specific cognitive biases, like maybe ADHD, and emotional dynamics beyond just reasoning time. So, it's going to take more time and more training data over time to really see what that looks like and how it actually performs.
Do you think it's, does it make broad generalizations, or does it get granular, like what I'm going to eat today?
I think
that's not a good example.
Think but it's a good question though. I think that yes, like there are. I think that if it gets enough data and is learning off of you enough, like that's the thing that I'm worried about, is that it's going to know you better than you know yourself.
Well, that's why they're putting, cameras into the human AI pin and the Rabbit R1, which all seem to be getting nasty reviews.
I canceled my order.
You start doing video about and again, it's a version 1 of the product. So I think people were expecting it to do thousands of things, and it can do like 8. And which is, whatever. That's why I said I want version 3 of this. Let it go. But back to this, when does it start getting creepy? It's fine to predict, I'm going to go to work today, or I'm not going to go to work today. But because it should know. But when does it start getting,
just a note on the AI pin, they're looking to sell. So they're looking for a buyer, just FYI. But so we called it. We called it on the pin, but the Rabbit R1 we'll have to see. But we digress. So you raise an excellent point here on the creepiness. So transparency is going to be key. So any use of predictive models on individuals, they should be fully disclosed and consented. So secretive use would raise privacy concerns. There may be cultural differences in sensitivity. So some societies may accept a high degree of behavioral prediction more readily than others. Applications are going to matter. So forecasts to improve healthcare, education, or well-being may feel less invasive than targeted marketing, for example. I kind of agree with that. Perfect prediction is based on what I've read is unlikely because human behavior is sufficiently complex that models will remain imperfect, but you never know. So we need ethical boundaries and limitations for modeling to respect personal.
So, all right. So now we have Canada. Let's just say Canada is, under control, being completely monitored by AI. The government's got this supercomputer in the sky. We all have watches and phones tracking everything we do, so that it can predict what we're going to do and I guess, help us, because apparently somehow predicting our behavior is good for us, which is a whole other discussion. Who needs to know what I'm going to do today besides me? Like, really? Come on. Like, what's that do to people? How far are we from, the Minority Report where it's pre-crime versus, wrong think or wrong do? Hey, wait a minute. 99% of people don't do what you're about to do, whatever it is. Like, it's work day on a Wednesday and you're going for a bike ride while everyone else is at work. This is a problem. I need to flag this. Like, are anybody who's become outliers and now are flagged and monitored by government services and stuff? What happens? When does this become like not just creepy, but really creepy?
I think. No, I honestly think we're getting to that point when it comes to precogs in the Minority Report. I know precogs were actual humans or mutants. I can't remember, but I give an AI enough training data, and I think we covered this. They were creating a replica of the brain in a chip. You take that, you incorporate this into that, and you give it enough training data, live data, constantly updating. It's definitely going to be able to. Right now, currently, no, absolutely not. Like, we're talking years away from that. But I think we're on that path. We're definitely on that path. That's scary shit. Pardon me for cussing.
It looks scary to me. Like, why? What is the point of predicting human behavior unless on a mass scale we're trying to predict migration patterns, economic patterns, people will buying more of this and more of that, so that maybe we need to adjust farming, shipping, where we have products, that kind of thing on a macro level. But that's not really predicting where I'm going today. And we've seen
with the removal of cookies, maybe. Go ahead, sorry.
We've seen, what happened with Google AI. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but we laughed at it when they first came out and had that huge fiasco. And I was fighting with it for a bit, getting it to help me with something. And it was just arguing me rather than actually giving me what I was looking for. Now it's even worse. Have you seen the stuff that's come out, about they use Reddit horrible to mine this stuff? It's like, hey, what do you do if your cheese won't stick to your pizza? Oh, add a quarter cup of non-toxic glue. Women should smoke 2 to 3 cigarettes a day while pregnant. It's highly recommended by doctors. You should eat at least 1 stone every day for minerals. Like, the stuff it's telling you to do is crazy. You can work out 8 days a week. It's okay. It's actually good for you. Blah blah. Because so this goes back to my previous comment. When does AI made up facts just become facts on the internet? Well, it's already happening. Google's got that add, and then generic response to whatever your question is. Hey, you might like some videos, and then maybe the search responses below. All the blogs and all the people relying on Google traffic are really suffering because Google's trying to take that into themselves. and they're producing this complete crap information that people are taking as fact. Like, you can tell, you shouldn't really eat a rock or you shouldn't really eat glue, but what other stuff it's not getting so extremely wrong.
Yeah, and that's I think honestly Google is they are trying to play catch up, and they're messing up left, right, and center. I think that this is their downfall. I don't know if you just saw the leak that was released on all the different parameters for their algorithm that just got leaked. Huge leak. This and the fact that their AI is crap. It can't get any better. It hasn't. Sorry, can't. But it hasn't gotten any better. It's gotten worse. They're and they're the ones that have the data, which they should have the data because they're the ones who've been controlling the internet for the last I don't know how many years. So
this becomes the problem. Like, you just throw a database at these AI, and none of it seems to be scrubbed for factual information. And what are facts these days? What a fact 6 months ago is not necessarily a fact today. Based on science changes, things change. Whatever changes. So this becomes it's ruining blogs. It's ruining Google. I think people are going to start moving away. Chrome is having everyone I talk to has had massive problems with Chrome. Its performance, its memory leaks, it's this using or other stuff. So as soon as there's decent other options, people are going to, move away from Google. I think if OpenAI produced a search engine, Google would be done.
Yeah, I agree. And Google is going to be done. I think they made a change to their algorithm, and now crap's been broken. Google's broken. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, it is broken. Google, but I haven't looked at I want to take a look at that leak and see, but yeah, I haven't. It is broken. You can tell by all sorts of people. And you have to sit back and say, okay, if you want traffic to your site, what are you doing that is not a simple answer to a question?
Yeah.
All right. Answer to the question is not going to drive traffic to your site anymore because Google and everyone else is going to do that. Answer the question right at the top of the friggin' page. Yeah. So things like what drives a little traffic are live events, right? You want to buy tickets. You want information about our live event. That's, next week, this week, that week. Okay. That's something because, that's going to change in a week. It's new. It's ever changing. So you have to start thinking about video content potentially and other things that are different, that are attracting people that aren't necessarily easily answerable by Google. So I don't know.
Apparently this leak shows that they've been gaslighting SEO experts. So not a good day for Google. Maybe it's time to short their stock, but we'll see. Not any kind of stock advice at all. I'm not an expert, so.
Yeah, but the advice I would give to anybody out there is to go take a look at what this leak in algorithm means. Take a look what SEO experts are saying now after analyzing it, and start hopping on it before your competition does. Because if, used to be, and if you really wanted traffic, you need to focus on SEO, and people don't because they don't know what it is, and it's complicated. You need backlinks, you need this, you need that. And there's so many scammers in the industry trying to sell you all sorts of crap that you may or may not need at $2,500 a month, and you don't see a difference.
Yeah.
But you need traffic, you need traffic if you're selling something. So how are you getting that traffic? And as soon as Google starts screwing with the way that traffic is coming to you, businesses are closing because they're not getting any of the traffic anymore, and they can't sell their products because if you get 2% conversion rate on your product and you're not getting 1,000 people coming to your site a day anymore, what happens? Or 10,000 or whatever the number is. So people are leaving. I see people, YouTubers leaving for Rumble and everything else because of what's going on with YouTube. And it has to be what they're promoting on YouTube, what they're doing from compensation, when they demonetize you, how they demonetize you, and the rules about what you can say and what you can't say. And, the other platforms don't have the same rules. So people are leaving.
No.
And Google, YouTube takes a chunk. Like they take like 30% or something of when I say that, like the revenue and whatnot. Yeah, and super chats and stuff. Like I don't know if you watch any of these YouTubers, but if you get a bunch of followers, people can donate money right there on YouTube, and they bring up super chats and stuff. $20-$50, whatever, and you bring them up like the bubbles we do here and talk to them. But Google takes a bunch of that, so it's all part of how these people monetize and say, yeah, well, it is what it is. But when a lot of these people since January, their traffic and their revenue have dropped by 40% or more, they're really starting to hurt. Unless they've got other sources of income in now, and they're really starting to say, Google is screwing with these people, on top of what they're messing up with their AI and what they're messing up with their algorithms and everything else. Their reputation is going down and down, and they're starting to get ripe for takeover. It's funny. I talked to somebody the other day. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think the industry is ripe for change. Like I see Disney crumbling. And talk to a business person. Well, Disney, be here forever, and maybe it will, but we thought Yahoo was going to be the biggest empire, and Time Warner, AOL, and all that stuff. They were huge, and what they become is a fraction of themselves. Is theaters, no one's going to the theater anymore. They need to really step up their game and change what they're producing to make movie events and make people want to go, because most people just say, I'll wait a month and watch it at home. So they have to change the model to get their revenue back, and the whole industry is suffering. And now we're pretty close to another strike. I don't know if you know that we're close to another Hollywood strike. 6 days away.
I didn't know that. Funny you mentioned Yahoo. When it comes to Google, so this is interesting as far as timeline goes. So the head of something at Yahoo, who was not instrumental, but a part of the downfall of Yahoo, got hired at Google. And since then, Google has been going downhill. I can't remember his name. Yeah. So he's doing the same thing. He hasn't learned his lesson. And now it's messing with Google. But hey, obviously that's not the only root cause, but yeah.
Yeah, it takes more than one person to mess things up in a huge corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we really want AI's models predicting and monitoring our human behavior? Like, what models are we using to program it? Yeah. And, we don't question enough. Like, we've been programmed over the last few years. Like when we grew up, it was, question everything was the mantra. In the last few years, it's question nothing, do as you're told. And so now you're throwing AI around us, and saying, oh, are we supposed to question AI, or are we supposed to do what it tells us to do?
Yeah, exactly. Scary.
Yeah. So when do when do you think this, it's not a question of if, when do you think this will start being misused?
Well, if they put the right safeguards in place, then they'll make it much harder. If they'll have to have legal and financial deterrence in order for that to happen. But I think misuse is going to happen right away. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not happy about what's happening here. I think, in general, it's from a civilization at a high level. It's interesting to monitor, like I said, economic trends and where people are migrating to. More people are moving out west and this and that. And to figure out, what we should be planning for economically and as a nation and infrastructure wise and food wise. But as an individual, I question the value of this. Do we need a AI to predict where we're going today? Because we can't figure it out. Like, you don't know where you're going to go when you wake up. So it just seems.
Well, hey, maybe. Maybe we're that future where people just don't want to. They don't want to think for themselves.
Wall-E, where we don't know how to do anything. Yeah. All right. It sounds pretty bleak, and I just don't see why we're doing this unless it's for misuse. Like I don't see a real good reason other than misuse.
It's for government.
Yeah.
It's for government. It's for tracking. It's the only thing.